Welcome to For the Greater Good, a podcast brought to you by the Independent Grocers Alliance. And now your host, John Ross.
Well, hello, everyone. This is the latest issue of my For the Greater Good podcast series. I'm John Ross with IGA. And of course, this series is dedicated to a conversation with industry leaders about the things that they're doing to try to make our world a better place. And we're going to be talking about sustainability, and we're going to talk about a lot of issues involving the food products that and the consumer goods products that make up our industry. And my guest today is Alexis Perakis-Valat. He is the president of the Consumer Goods Division of L'Oreal. Alexis, welcome to the show.
Hello, John.
So you and I are fellow CGF board members, and we end up meeting each other in the world in different locations, always talking about these sustainability issues. But I think this is the first time you and I have had a one-on-one conversation. So thank you for being brave enough to visit my show.
Yeah, I'm super happy to be with you, and it's true that it's a very special one-on-one conversation because we have other people who are looking. But I'm very happy to have this conversation with you, John.
Well, so for the audience today, because there'll be retailers, there'll be wholesalers, and there'll be manufacturers from literally all over the world. There's 6,400 IGAs and growing everywhere, but it'll be more than IGA. It'll be the whole industry, and our viewership continues to grow and grow, which is really encouraging. It shows that a lot of people in our industry are interested in this topic. But for purposes, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit about both what you do for L'Oreal and maybe a little bit about you personally, so that people can get to know you.
Yeah, of course. So I have a French accent when I speak English, but I'm actually Greek. I come from an island called Crete, but then I was raised in France. And I started at L'Oréal about 30 years ago. I think one of the main reasons why I joined L'Oréal is because I wanted to discover the world. Believe it or not, I was not passionate about beauty, but I did my French military service in the Navy. And I was on a boat, which was a helicopter carrier that went around the world. And I actually got an offer from L'Oréal when I was on the harbor of Manila. And I think it was destiny. I say, this company calls me when I'm traveling the world, and I hope that I'm going to travel the world for L'Oréal. And that's And I thought, at the time, if you start in the headquarters of a French company, maybe they're going to make you travel before the others. And it's actually what happened, because then in these 30 years, I was 6 years CEO of L'Oréal in China. I worked in the US, between Chicago and New York. I was the CEO of L'Oréal in Germany. I worked in Spain. I worked in Belgium. So I had a great opportunity to discover the world, which actually is my passion. I love the world, its diversity, working in different cultures. So that's a bit about me.
Well, so you and I serve together on the Consumer Goods Forum, which is a collection of global CEOs working together to try to improve the world on everything from reducing plastic waste to ending slavery and forced labor, to palm oil issues, all these other issues. Just for a second, which of those committees do you serve on with CGF, and how long have you been on the board?
I've been on the board since 1 year and a half now. However, I've been working with CGF for many years. I work on the plastic waste coalition, where we're very active. We are also active on the human rights coalition, on the sustainable supply chain coalition. So there are many coalitions to which we take place. But I think what's interesting, even beyond the CGF, is I think the new meaning of the word collaboration, because when you think about it, and I've seen that evolve during the years. At the beginning, cross-industry collaborations or collaborations within an industry were very much based on regulatory needs or in very basic license to operate. But now, with the urgency of human rights and sustainability issues, I think this collaboration takes a whole new importance, and this collaboration is more needed than ever to solve the issues of the world. And we all, no matter how big our companies are, we all feel the limits of what we can do on these issues by acting only at our company level. So I'm very excited about the future of CGF, and very excited about the role it can play in solving some of the greatest issues of our times.
I think plastic waste and recycling in general are really an interesting topic for me because if you look at what manufacturers have been doing, applying their science in order to improve the disposability and the reclamation of the products of materials in their product, right? And then you look at what retailers are able to do. So retailers have tremendous influence over their communities locally. In fact, many of our owners are the mayors of their city, or they sit on their city council, and they have tremendous clout and influence. But collective, legislation and rules for how products are disposed, it varies by community, it varies by city.
Yeah.
And so, like I live in Atlanta, for example, and in the city of Atlanta, if you put your recycled items into a plastic trash bag, you think they're being recycled, they won't recycle them. Well, how am I supposed to get them to a recycling center? And so there's so many things that are necessary at global level, at the national level, at the regulatory level, and then at the local level in order to get it all to work. And so if we can get our retailers excited about it and expose what the manufacturers are doing, chances are we can make an enormous difference in our lifetimes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're right. And recycling streams is obviously a huge issue. It's the case in the US, and it's even more so the case in some developing countries like Indonesia or India, where we have to really change things fundamentally to ensure proper recyclability. But you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious if you could maybe take a few minutes and talk about some of the initiatives at L'Oreal that you're working on that you're especially proud of, or anything you think this audience would want to know. I think they'd be fascinated to hear what you're doing.
No, but I think what's interesting is I'm going to talk to you through some of the issues that we know that we do at L'Oreal. But the most interesting for me is to see what we can do together with retailers on this part. So on our end, we're working from upstream to downstream. Upstream, we've totally changed the way we develop new products and new innovations because, before, more or less, if I simplify, when you were doing a new product, you had two criteria in mind. Criteria number one is it going to be desirable and a success? And criteria number two is the economic equation. Can I make money with this product? And, more than 10 years ago, we've really literally added a third criteria, which is this product going to add something in terms of sustainability versus what we sell currently? So we have what we call a spot score. And every time we restage a product or every time we launch launch a new product, we're making sure that it is better than before in terms of sustainability or in terms of social or in terms of social impact. And it's really measured throughout the company. And if ever, I don't know, because for quality reasons, you've got to put something in this product that doesn't make it better, I'm not, then it has to go very high up to authorize us launching products that are not better in that sense. And since since in our business, between 10 and 20% of our business is made of new products. By doing that, we're creating a virtuous cycle within the beauty industry, which is every time we feed the industry with products that are better. So that's kind of the more upstream. Then downstream, we're working on our factories. More than half of our factories are totally carbon neutral. We're even working, and that's I think quite interesting, on what we call water loop factories, where all the water that is used outside of the products is actually totally recycled. So there is no water loss apart from the water which is in the products we sell. So that's very exciting because, of course, water is also a key issue. You've talked about recycled plastic. Now almost all our shampoos around the world are done of 100% recycled plastic, and that has a huge cost. When we made this decision 4 years ago, we thought it would cost X. It actually costs 4X what we had planned, but we don't regret 1 second because by doing that we're saving 27,000 tons of virgin plastic a year, and that's great. And then there's one topic where, and maybe that's going to be a segue maybe to your next question, that I think is very important and where we need to work all together is on everything which is sustainable consumption choices. Is helping our shoppers, our consumers make sustainable consumption choices, and for that we have a lot of initiatives. The one that I think is the most interesting and that I'm the most proud of is a collective initiative of the industry. You know, the beauty industry. We've formed with many of our competitors, Unilever, P&G, Estee Lauder, you name them, a consortium with the ambition to create what we call an eco beauty score, which is a score that you'll have on every product that you'll have on every product, that will tell you from a scale from A to E. I think they're still working on the scale. Is what is the eco score of this beauty product, and the ambition is to create a norm which would be for all the industry and across the world. And with a very simple ambition, which is to really help our consumers, our shoppers all around the world, make sustainable beauty consumption choices.
I absolutely love that. You know, it is a very complicated space, and you know, many of our stores in the industry has tried to put, you know, letter gradings or, you know, icons or, you know, kind of things on it to help the shopper. You stand in an average grocery store. One of our stores might have 38,000, 40,000 SKUs, and that shopper is time pressure, and they also economic pressure. So they're trying to make choices very, very quickly as they move to the store. And you watch those shoppers and you go, wow, it'd be very easy to be confused about the choices you make. You go online and you look at the average number of searches for the most mundane products. You can pull up Google Analytics and look at things like toilet paper or diapers or whatever. And you would think these are products people know a lot about. And you see there's a tremendous amount of shopper engagement as they're trying to learn more about the choices that they make inside the store. And that just shows we're not doing a great job with packaging. We're not doing a great job with visual merchandising as retailers, helping them to understand the choices they're making. But the flip side of it is when you do make them feel smart, loyalty goes up and they buy more. So it ends up being a great win-win. I got a very specific question for you. So when you made that choice to invest in all recyclable product for your shampoos worldwide, when you made that choice, did you believe it was the right thing to do regardless of its impact on the bottom line? Or did you believe that over the long term, it would be an economic benefit for the company in terms of increased sales or increased loyalty?
No, that's a great question, John. And obviously, we are absolutely convinced that making the right sustainable choices is a business imperative, and is for all the reasons we know, which is first, consumers would buy you more. Second, which is a very important reason for us, is the smartest and the brightest talents in the planet will want to come and work for your company because you're a role model, and our ambition, we're the number one beauty company in the world. And we also want to be number one on these topics because we think it's the right thing to do, but also because we think it's the best way to attract the best and the brightest on this planet. So for all these reasons, we absolutely don't see a dichotomy or a paradox between making the right sustainable choices and making the right business choices. And on top of it, some of these choices really actually kill two birds with one stone. You know, if you think about, for example, working on reducing waste and destructions, that's a great way to reconcile business imperatives and sustainable imperatives.
Right. So you can reduce costs, you can improve the attractiveness in the marketing space, and then your employees feel like they're working for a company that's thinking more than just the next quarterly report, that they're actually thinking about the long-term sustainability. That's got to be a great thing, right?
Yeah.
I love it. You know, if you took the initiatives that you've done, and you know, I've had other CEOs that come on and talk about the changes they've made in the manufacturing process. My guess is most of our retailers are unaware. So we'll go ahead. We'll link to your sustainability page in the show notes so that anyone who watches this can go back and research and look at all you, because you've made some pretty bold commitments on the things that you're doing, and you've set dates and targets for them, and you should be very proud about doing that. But then the retailers on our side, imagine if the retailers as an industry, not just IGA, not just our thousands of stores, but the industry got together and made the same decisions. We could be so good for each other, because if we said we're going to work at a local level to change the legislation and the investment in the recycling infrastructure, so the work that you're doing actually has a place to go, we have a recovery mechanism for it, suddenly we could take our numbers up 3, 4, 5, 10x greater than what we're doing today. And that's kind of the mission of this show, is to see if we can get that going. So I have one last question for you. So if you were at your if this is the retirement dinner party for you, hopefully it's not a roast, but it's a retirement party celebrating your career, and someone gets up to make a speech and they will say, here's something that people should remember, that all of the contribution that Alexis made. What would the one thing that you would love for them to say? It could be more than one.
Maybe before, because since this show is watched, before answering this question, John, let me just, because I really believe that the areas of collaborations with between manufacturers and retailers, and especially in beauty, are huge. So let me just give 3 concrete examples, because you've talked about a very ambitious and important example, which is the recycling infrastructure, which is a very important purpose, complicated, but very important. But you've got many other areas where we can really change for the good together. And let me give you just 1 or 2 examples to make it concrete. The one area, if you talk about packaging, is the use of refills. In many of our markets, and in our case, for example, in hair care, the use of refills is still very minimal. And if you modelize that, and if you say, if 5 years from now, 30-40% of the hair care market could be made of refills, it's amazing the savings in terms of plastic, but also in terms of CO2 that we would do, because to produce packaging, you do CO2 emissions, etc. And that's a very simple case where if we join forces with all retailers of the world and say, okay, let's imagine a world where 30% of hair care is made of refills, and let's make that happen together. Frankly, it's easier than taking people to the moon, and it's a good example of where we can collaborate. And let me just give you a third example. In our industry, actually, the biggest impact is not plastic. I'm talking about beauty. If you look at the full scope of consumer goods industry, the biggest impact is actually the hot water used to wash your hair or condition your hair. That, in terms of CO2 emissions, is by far. Of course, people see plastic, but actually that's the biggest impact. And because of that, we're launching products. For example, we just launched a new conditioner that you don't need to rinse. It acts as a conditioner, but you just don't need to rinse it. It's a new gesture. It has a huge impact, because then if you don't, then you spare water, you spare hot water, you just stay in your shower for the shampoo and you get out for the conditioner. Well, that's there again, promoting this kind of innovations. It's harder to sell than a new shampoo or a new lipstick, because it requires explanation, it requires change of habits, and that's also the kind of project where I think working hand in hand with retailers around the world can really make a difference. So it's just to give you, the different levels where we can work with retailers. That's why I was very excited to talk with you, John, today, because I see that as a it's a joint green business plan. It's a joint crusade that we have. It's a very exciting crusade, and we need to be two to tango, as we say in English.
I love it. So here, let me make you a promise. So I love the product. I love the product idea. I should have actually remembered to ask you about it. Let's do this. We'll do a second video. Have one of your brand managers come on. We'll do an in-depth dive on the product, the opportunity in the marketplace. We'll talk to retailers about how to sell it, and we'll walk it through the way we do product innovation in a way that'll hopefully get the retailers excited so they order it in. And see, next time we talk, we'll be celebrating both having made some progress on the sustainability front and the success of your new product launch too. Okay, so back to my question though. Okay, so someone's got up and they've just made a speech and they've said one of the things that Alexis should be very proud about would be what?
I'll tell you two. The first thing, which is really important to me, is I want to be remembered as somebody that has helped a significant number of people achieve their professional dreams, and it's true that I've had the chance to work in China, in the US, etc., and on all these continents. I have a couple of people that already feel that I've played a significant role in their professional dreams, and that's something that really matters to me. And then the second thing, which is more linked to our conversation, is at the end, we only do beauty at L'Oréal. But if I can say that I've played a role in transforming beauty, in transforming the way people consume beauty, in transforming the beauty industry, in partnership with all my competitors. That's why I'm so excited about projects like the Eco Beauty Score, because it's something that we can all be proud about. And I was happy to be with many others at the inception of this project.
I love both answers. That is great. Well, Alexis, thank you so much for being on this show. I'm doing a cycle. I'll go through the whole board, and then I'll go through with some of our retailers. And the next time we do this, we'll be talking about perhaps some of the progress that we've made, and it'll be more of a celebration than an introduction. Thank you so much, IGA family, and everyone worldwide. Thank you for watching this show and for passing it on. Hit the forward key. Our audience continues to grow, and we're getting press exposure for this, which is great for our industry. So thank you all, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.